we always seem to compare what we're doing in our lives, often when we feel quite negative anyway, with what people are doing at the best points in their life.
In this video, I'm talking about the comparison trap, something that affects not only creatives, but people in general. We can get into such a negative cycle with this, and it's really important to be able to get out of it, and that's something I'll discuss. Now, I've come over to North Wales to film this and just take some pictures of the beautiful landscape around me as well.
Now, I think it's quite poignant that I'm talking about this today whilst I'm at this lighthouse on Landrin Island on the island of Anglesey in the UK, because this is a place I've seen so many shots of over the years, some absolutely amazing shots. And clearly today, on the day I've come, what I get probably isn't going to compare to some of the shots I've seen before. It's pretty grey, there's a lot of cloud moving in, which is a real shame because it was really bright when I came over to Snowdonia earlier today. But when we compare our work to other people's, I think that can really impact us both from a confidence point of view, from a self-esteem point of view, and also from a creativity point of view as well. Now, I think one of the main culprits behind this is our continuing addiction to phones, the use of YouTube, ironically enough, the use of Instagram, the use of Twitter. We're constantly being bombarded by these amazing images. We pick people whose work we want to follow because we really enjoy it. And if you take each person individually, unless it's a professional photographer or a professional video creator that's traveling all the time, that's getting to do lots of work, then quite often our work doesn't seem to compare, and that can leave us feeling quite negative about where we're at with the work we're doing. So I've suffered from it as much as anyone else. We get jealous of the stories people share on social, we get jealous of the conditions people have when they're out shooting, we get jealous of the sets people are on with filming, but we always seem to compare what we're doing in our lives, often when we feel quite negative anyway, with what people are doing at the best points in their life. And I'll give you a really good example of this. So if I just put a picture of, I don't know, my house up this time last year when we were in lockdown, I think people might see, oh, well, you've got a really nice house, so everything must be great. Last year was just awful. My work pretty much came to an end. We were looking after kids, we had illnesses, we had various other problems, and it was just a really difficult year. Yeah, it's not difficult compared to some people, but again, that's compared to some people. You could compare yourself to the worst person in the world. Obviously, everyone is going to be in a better position than someone else until you get to that worst person, which is why it is not a healthy way to live. You need to compare yourself to what you've done in the past, to no one else, and that is a very difficult thing to do, and the only way we can do that is by changing our behaviours. And when I talk about changing our behaviours, a lot of it is to do with how we consume social media. So you can scroll through, you can be inspired by what other people are doing, but if you find yourself feeling jealous, that is when it becomes a problem, and that's when you've got to look at your social media use and maybe rein it in a bit. And often it's key to kind of stop and count back and think, okay, I'm looking at this person's photo and I'm feeling a bit jealous of what they're doing, but look back at your own work. So stop, look back at your own work and think, okay, where have I come from in the last year? Where have I come from in the last 2 years? And how have things in my life affected how I've moved forward in my work? Not everyone's the same. People have difficulties. People have a lot of things going on in lives that can kind of restrict creativity at different times. You've got to take that into account, and you've just got to be a bit kinder to yourself about the position you're in. All you can do is put effort in on a daily basis into improving what you do. And if you do that, as you go forward and compare current you to past you, that's when you're going to see the changes. I think a lot of us as well, when we are comparing to other creators in particular, we just see the here and now. We don't see the journey. And I do think it's true that everyone does have a very similar starting position. What we don't see when we compare is the 10 years, the 20 years of the graft and the work. Overnight success just isn't a thing. There's a lot of work that goes into people being where they are at that time. So, for example, when I started working for myself, I'd only been a professional filmmaker for a couple of years, and I constantly compared what I was doing to what other people have been doing, and they've been doing it a decade. They've been doing it 8 years than I was. So how's that going to be any use to me? That's going to damage my mental health. It's going to make me feel really bad about myself. It's going to lower my confidence. It's going to lower my self-esteem, and that in turn will impact negatively on my creativity. So how can we ever aspire to get to a better place if we are damaging ourselves using comparison in this way? So I urge you and me to take action with this point, and I think it's really important that, as I say, we compare how we are to how we've been. We use other people's work as inspiration. We use other people's work to think, well, if I put in the work that they've put in the past, then I can aspire to be that good one day. And I think it's really important to just keep that in the back of your mind whenever you're either using social media or whether you're acting on a kind of creative pursuit in any way. So that's it really. It's kind of a bit of a philosophical one, but I think it's a very important one, and I think we could all learn something from just stopping and just using comparison in the right way, not with other people, with yourself. So that's kind of it really. I'm going to do a bit more shooting around here. I'm going to hopefully wait for the conditions to change a bit, but I'm not that hopeful, and just see if I can come away from this with a shot that I like. So if you're enjoying what I'm speaking about in this video, I would urge you to consider subscribing, because I've got loads of things like this planned for future videos. Now, the shoot in North Wales, I got really, really lucky with it, and I'm really pleased with the results. The image I'm about to show you now is probably one that might even go up in the wall in my house, and that isn't often something that happens. I'll also show you some other shots from Snowdonia, because I was there for the entire day. It was a very early start and a very late finish, but it was a really enjoyable day of creating a few things and just getting back into the swing of things like I discussed in my video last week. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank everyone who has got here for watching. It really means a lot to me, and I will see you in the next video.